Now, cross-border female genital mutilation is one of the newest evolving tactics being used to propagate the outdated vice. The closely knit practice is rife at the Kenya, Tanzania, Somali Land, Ethiopia, and even Sudan borders. It's a chagrin of many regional and human rights organizations. The prevalence rates in some of the countries like Somali Land remain at an all-time high. Sarafina Robi highlights some of the new tactics being used as she engages as a survivor of FGM.
My growing up was very beautiful, typical of a Maasai lifestyle.
As Esther Kuraro reminisces of her early childhood growing up in a polygamous Maasai home, looking after cows, she cannot help but remember the one incident that changed the course of her life: female genital mutilation.
Something in me had died, something had crashed. There's something they killed, that FGM killed something, because I was never myself again.
She narrates what happened before the actual day.
You know, that psychological preparation, nothing. People were just dancing, and I was even asked to go and dance with the Morans.
And on the fateful day,
so 3 women appeared. One was holding me this tightly with one hand and clasping my hand with another. And then another woman, I don't even know who, I just knew this one on my back. These other 2 women, I don't know where they came from. Well, this other one held my right leg to the farthest and held firm. Then this other one held the left leg. An old woman came. Her name was Tepeyu. I knew her. We knew her. Everybody knew her because I had seen her cut my sisters. Her finger was permanently like this. I started dying even before the cut. And I wanted to scream, but I couldn't scream because my mouth was. And now as she was cutting, the other women were shouting at me. I really bled, as expected. After some time, the woman said she was putting her fingers around the genitalia like this to feel if any flesh was left. And then she also did this. When she felt any flesh, she continued cutting. Until this is what I can never forget. She was sitting like this. And she was telling the other women, "Can you hear now? I have touched the bone." And then she called another woman to come and attest to that. So the woman put her fingers around and she confirmed that just as this other one said, there is no more flesh. That's when the cutting stopped.
This had just started her journey of humiliation and pain, even in university.
We had a good rapport with this young man. And at some point during the college years, we were intimate with this young person. And when this young person saw my genitalia, when he saw my genitalia, how it was scarred with the scars and because of the missing parts, he just backed out.
Then came her delivery.
But the baby will not come out. I couldn't budge. The opening will not open. The baby couldn't come out. So the nurse realized that the baby was getting distressed, and she just took a razor blade and cut. After about 3 or 4 months, when I came back for family planning, the doctor was now taking me through the process. He asked me, "Were you cut when you had your baby?" I'm like, "Yes, how did you know?" He said, "Because the nurse who had cut you did not stitch you back."
The government of Kenya strongly condemns the vice.
Kenya is the only country with a board in place that is specifically dealing with FGM. A board that is being funded by the government, a board that Treasury is to push this agenda.
Even with the laws in place, there are gaps that need to be addressed.
Like the offenses and how much someone is supposed to pay, or how long they are supposed to go to court, to jail and all that. People are feeling like we should be more.
In Somali Land, the statistics are extremely high.
Somali Land rateska gudniinku aad buu sareeyaa boqolkiiba 98 weeye.
In Somali Land, FGM is very high at 98%. Girls undergo FGM. Although there are different types of FGM, upcountry girls undergo type 4 of FGM, while in town they undergo the Suna FGM. Generally, FGM is very rampant in Somaliland.
Markaan maqlo gudniin hablo waxa maskaxda ku soo dhacayna waxaan yahay violence.
Whenever I hear FGM meted on a young girl, I know it's violence against young girls. They are being mutilated when they are so young. When girls are 10 to 11, they can't give consent. This act is cultural and not religious. Girls who undergo FGM miss lots of classes at school. FGM also causes health problems. I know women who have developed fibroids due to FGM. This means it's violence against women.
Countries acknowledge that one of the contributing factors to FGM is cross-border FGM.
And there's a research we did in 2017 that showed like more people from outside are coming into Kenya to cut their girls. But now over time, we have really worked on our borders to make sure that we are not having people coming in. And also we've had a declaration by the ministers of the region, the 5 countries, that is Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Ethiopia and Somalia. And also we have an action plan in place that we have worked on with the 5 countries to make sure that our borders are safe.
This comes as new tactics emerge, including medicalization of FGM and cutting children when they are as young as 2 years old.
When we train health providers, they are supposed to protect life. They are supposed to not harm community. But when health providers or health professionals start practicing kind of like facilitating FGM and the ones who are cutting, then that becomes problematic.
They are now cutting the girls really young as even almost infants.
Dr. Dennis Matanda says poverty and lack of education are the main contributing factors.
In 2003, women without education was about 58%. That number has not gone down up to 2022. It's just gone down by about 2% to 56%. For example, the poorest in 2003 was about 49, about 50% prevalence. That number has only gone down a little bit to 46%.
Tabitha Kibira is a reformed cutter who was initiated into cutting girls by her grandmother due to poverty.
Hiyo wakati nilikumbuka nilikuwa na miaka 13. Kaniambia wenda ukeketa ndio unisaidie. Kwenda kukeketa ama tufanye biashara kwa sababu wanasemanga ni biashara. Naona ndio nikamwambia nikeketa. Nikaenda nikakeketwa ni susu. Kwa wiki 2 ningatoka. Tukaanza sasa kukeketa. Nikamuuliza sasa nitaanzia wapi? Akasema sika hapo. Ningasika. Alafu akanielezea ukisika hapo utaharibu, sika hapo. Kakeketa kama ni watu wawili tukasukua pesa. Nilikumbuka tulisukuanga 2,500.
Despite convincing her fellow cutters to stop perpetrating FGM, she says they at times threaten to curse her when they have no other source of income.
Kuna mambo wananiambia, wewe Njoro, ulitutoa kwa kazi. Ukasema tutakula vitu kutoka kwa serikali. Sasa hakuna kitu tunakula. Wewe ni wewe tutalania. Kwa sababu sasa tukupe njaa. Na uliona sisi ni mama wazee. Nikawauliza sasa nitafanya nini? Ambia serikali itutabutia hata marawe ama mahindi tukule kwa sababu tutakufa njaa kwa sababu ile kazi tulifanya. Wewe Njoro unakataa tufanye hiyo kazi.
According to the World Health Organization, more than 200 million girls and women alive today have undergone female genital mutilation, FGM, in 30 countries in Africa, the Middle East and Asia, where FGM is practiced. As different declarations against female genital mutilation continue to be made in the country and across the world, the glaring question remains: why do the numbers of survivors of FGM continue to rise? The cutters are now calling on the government to intervene and give them alternative businesses so that they can stop the cut. Sarafina Robi for KBC Channel 1.